Imagine it is September the 1st and you wake up and you walk into your living room or your movie room and you sit on the couch and you open up your movie library online, the one that you paid for, title after title, year after year, and Terminator 2 is gone. Apocalypse Now is gone. The Rambo movies, gone. 551 movies and shows that people bought and paid real money for at full price, deleted, gone. Not from a rental service, not from a streaming subscription, from their purchased libraries. No refunds, no compensation, no apology. That's not hypothetical. Sony just sent that exact notice to its customers. A licensing deal expired, so 551 purchases simply stopped existing. And then, days later, while people were still angry about that, Sony announced they're ending physical disc production for Sony PlayStation entirely. The discs that would have protected you from exactly what they just did to you are going to be made no more. If you're watching this channel and you have been for any length of time, then you know physical media isn't a side topic here. That's what the channel started out as. It's the foundation that it was built upon. And for years, people have rolled their eyes at collectors, calling it niche and calling them hoarders and calling it nostalgia, and ask why anyone would still buy discs in 2026. Well, the truth is, Sony just answered that question a hell of a lot better than I ever could. So let me lay out the timeline precisely, because the sequencing kind of matters here just a little bit. It's late June. Customers, primarily UK and Europe, get notices that 551 movies and TV shows purchased through the PlayStation are being removed from their libraries as of September 1st, 2026. The reason is Sony's licensing deal with Studio Canal has expired. The titles, Terminator 2, Apocalypse Now, Rambo films, countless others, movies that people bought, clicked, purchased, thought they owned because they paid full price for them, sometimes over a decade ago, are now just gone. Sony's position stated plainly that you never actually bought and owned these movies. This is the total you'll own nothing and like it crowd at work here. You purchased a non-transferable license, access, a long-term rental, not ownership. And access can be revoked whenever a contract between two companies, or a contract that you never saw or knew existed, was never signed and just happens to lapse. And there's nothing you can do about it. So then on July 1st, Sony announced that physical discs for all new PlayStation games ends in January of 2028. Their official language, and I want to read this to you because corporate language is its own sort of kind of confession. So it calls this, quote, a natural direction to adapt consumer trends as a general preference for digital media significantly outpacing physical discs. They're trying to tell you this is a natural direction. And they're trying to tell you this after they just deleted 551 purchases a week ago. Now think about this roughly. If you spend an average of $20 on 500 purchased downloads, you're out like, what, 10 grand? $10,000 or more you could be out. And then the next week they announced that, hey, the one thing we could say that could save you from that kind of nonsense that would have made those deletions impossible and protected your investment, they're calling it obsolete. They're calling moving away from it natural. That's not natural at all. They just don't want you to own it because they want to be able to charge you more to continue accessing it and remove it at any time. But here's the thing. Here's part of the story that nobody is talking about, and it should absolutely make your blood boil. And it requires going back like 15 years. And I made notes because I want to be exact about this. In 2013, the launch of PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. Microsoft announces that the Xbox One will restrict used games and require online check-ins. These are early moves towards exactly the digital licensing future that now Sony is forcing us to live in. And here's the thing. Sony and the leaders at Sony jumped on stage and jumped out publicly and destroyed Microsoft for it, insulted and attacked them for it. Sony stood on stage at E3, one of the most famous moments in gaming history, and announced to thunderous applause that the PS4 would support used games, disc sharing, and true ownership. They released a video that's like 20 some odd seconds long showing two Sony executives demonstrating how to share a game on PlayStation. One man simply hands the disc to another man. That's it, because it's physical ownership. That's the whole video. It became one of the most viral moments in corporate history. But Sony won the console generation based off of that, really. Tens of millions of consoles in no small part to keeping one single promise, that if you buy it, it's yours, you keep it, it can't be taken away from you. And then 13 years later, the same company that offered the freedom of ownership and attacked Microsoft has deleted over 550 movies out of a paying customer's libraries and announced the end of discs themselves in the same week or two window. They didn't forget what they said in 2013. They knew exactly what they said. It was never a principle. It was just a marketing position. But when the math changed, in their opinion, then everything else changed along with it. It has nothing to do with a natural progression. It has to do with the math of how much money they can make and how they could maybe take something or keep you licensed and have to keep paying more to get something that you already own. In other words, you are renting, you are licensing, you are never going to own. And the lesson for this goes far beyond Sony, because no corporation promises a digital library worth anything. That's something you should know. We've seen this again and again. Digital libraries, you don't own anything. It can be taken from you at any moment because their promise is only one licensing negotiation or one culture war away from being removed from you, one quarterly earnings call away from being removed from you. And that's where ownership comes in so big. All this stuff behind me, it's not for looks. It's movies I love and own and want to have in the highest quality, uncensored, that can never be taken from me. And I want to explain something to you as a guy who has spent his life with this, as a collector, a filmmaker, somebody who owns and sits on all these discs, and a lot of you out there on your shelves. When you own a physical copy of a film, here is what you actually own. You own a copy that no expiring contract can take away. It can never reach it. They can never shut you down. They can never take it. The corporate merger can't take it from you. A corporation going out of business, a culture war, social justice, licensing disputes, content disputes, people being offended, none of that can ever take it away from you. But this version right here, all online, it can take it from you. This version right here, my kids can inherit, I can trade, I can sell, I can enjoy, I can watch because I own the physical product. And that's not nostalgia at all. That's a genuinely different legal and practical relationship with owning the art that you love and enjoy and cherish and want to preserve. What a digital library offers you instead is nothing but pure convenience. It doesn't give you better quality. It doesn't give you ownership. It doesn't really give you cheaper prices. It doesn't give you any of that. Matter of fact, you got to stay connected to internet in a lot of cases to enjoy stuff, and it can be taken at any time. So convenience, yeah, it's convenient. I'm not pretending otherwise. You just click a button. You don't have to go get a disc off your shelf or whatever, because I guess we've become that lazy. But the receipt that you get when you buy that digital download, it says purchase. It says purchase. And then it says, and terms of service, which nobody reads because it's a 50-page document that nobody's ever going to read. And you just scroll to the bottom and hit I accept. And The license says that it's revocable and conditions apply and it can go away at any time. They're telling you because they legally got to tell you that, but they know nobody in the real world is going to read all that kind of stuff, and nobody's going to take it seriously because they don't expect it to happen to them. Those people that lose those number in the thousands upon thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people losing hundreds of thousands of dollars to get millions of dollars together. I mean, 500 movies, if you were unfortunate to have bought them all, you've just lost a whole lot of money. And you've just found out with the cancellation of this and no more discs being made for PlayStation, exactly how tough those conditions and stipulations that you didn't read, now you know what they are. And here's the part that I feel in my chest as a filmmaker about this, because somewhere out there, movies I made sit on shelves, at least some of them that were on physical media, in homes that I will never visit, people that I will never see, but nobody can delete those, right? No expiring deal between two companies I've never met can reach into somebody's living room and take those movies out. They can't take my works back off their shelf. There's a permanence to that, an importance to that, a comfort to that. The idea that I made something worth someone else owning and keeping, and that's how every movie is right here. People can actually own it, cherish it, keep it, use it again and again. That's been part of the compact with artists and the audiences since we started making movies and art, really. And the industry is quietly dissolving that trust between those two entities, not because the audience has asked for it. Don't let them convince you of that. That is gaslighting to epic proportions, but because recurring access that you have to keep paying for, that you have to keep essentially renting, is a better business model than permanent ownership for you. You'll own nothing, and they're just betting that you'll like it because you'll trade convenience for lack of ownership. But here's what they're not counting on, and that's why this video matters, because most of what I read to you is basically an obituary for this. The audience is already voting against this, though, loudly and with money. Vinyl records have come back over the past several years, right? A format that was technically dead 40 some odd years ago is back with a vengeance, reaching over $1 billion for the first time in forever. So I think since 1983. And you've got an entire generation who grew up with streaming. They're out there buying records. In-person buying of clothes and other items amongst 15 to 25-year-olds rose $12 billion last year. That's a lot of money. These people are wanting more and more. 4K sales are going up. 4K sales of steelbooks, the most permanent feeling of all these, keeps increasing even when other formats go down, because the industry forgot that human beings are owners by nature. We want to own what we have. We want to work, trade our work, our sweat off our brow, the money out of our pocket for something tangible that can never be taken from us. Boutique physical media is back here, like Arrow, Video, Criterion Collection, Vinegar Syndrome, Shout and Scream Factory, all of that. They are not surviving, they are thriving right now. Movies are selling out as fast as they can go out there in most cases. Selling out tons of 4K restorations. You have to jump on these things quick because these are 40, 50-year-old and older films in some cases that audiences want to have in their best format that they can hold on to forever. And that's what this channel was built on to start with. And the backlash against Sony's announcement last week was not just a shrug at all. It was a firestorm coming at it, because the message boards, social media, the comment sections, the memes, the entire customer base that spent 10 years being told they prefer digital, suddenly discovering all at once that digital actually means you own nothing. And the fine print is stored over there in the archives instead of your own movie shelves. And here's what I believe, and I believed this before it was fashionable to actually start believing it again when everybody got mad. Physical media was never obsolete. It was inconvenient for their business model, and that's all there is to it. Those are different things, very different things. And every time a corporation demonstrates in the most vivid way possible why ownership matters, just like Sony did, the market for ownership grows bigger, not smaller. Sony may have accidentally just done more for physical media collecting in the last 2 weeks or so than any collector on any YouTube channel has done in the last 5 years. They keep proving us right, and people are finally starting to notice. So let's end this with something you can do about it, because there is something that you can do about it. And this is one of those rare times that you actually have some power. And that is simple. Buy physical media. Buy physical media. I'm not telling you that you got to rebuild Blockbuster or your local mom and pop video rental store, collect 5,000 movies or something like I do. I'm not telling you that. I'm not telling you got to fill your basements or your attics or stuff with this. But the films that matter to you the most, the albums that matter to you the most, the games that matter to you the most, the ones you actually love, the ones you want to rewatch, re-enjoy, pass down, share, the ones you would genuinely miss if they are gone, own them. Buy them. Get them in every format that you can get a hold to them. Keep them on your shelf. Display them proudly where no expiring contract can ever take them from you. Support the boutique labels out here doing the Lord's work in the preservation and the work that the studios have largely abandoned in a lot of cases, because every Arrow and Criterion and Shout purchase is a vote for a world where films are kept and owned and not licensed. Keep your disc drives, keep your players. The hardware is the last door, and they would love to close it on you. And when the company tells you that it's eliminating ownership, and the quote is, it is a natural direction, remember that you get to vote on what is natural. The vinyl generation voted. The boutique collectors of movies have voted. The Gen Z kids going back to buying DVDs and clothes and stuff in person in stores, they are voting right now. Terminator 2 is going to get deleted from digital libraries on September 1st. My copy will be on my shelf that morning, right there where it's been, and right there where it'll be for the next 20 or 30 years, and nobody can take it from me because I didn't license it. I own it. And that is a huge, huge difference. And that's what I got for you this time. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please like, subscribe, hit the hype button, support physical media in all of its forms, because that is ownership in its purest form. And we need to keep it alive in every way possible. And if you enjoyed this and you want to help a little bit more, you can join my Patreon. The link is in the description. You'll get physical media deep dives there. I still do them over there, review 4Ks. I go behind the scenes on my filmmaking, and you'll get your name on every video and lights, and everything helps keep channels like mine and the voices out there behind it alive, so that they just can't close the door on us forever. But until next time, be kind, rewind like always. This is Chase with AV Pop Culture, and I'll see you real soon. Bye-bye. Bye now.